Welcome to Temple Builders Carpentry. Temple Builders, we problem solvers. Temple Builders, safety first. Okay, Temple Builders, we talking about paint knowledge today. Okay, if you look at my board today, we're gonna talk about sheen level. We also gonna talk about VOCs, but first let's talk about what paint is. Okay, paint consists of 4 different parts. Okay, you got your pigment, which is gonna be your color. All right, you got your binder, whether it's in water base, it'll be your latex or your pure acrylic. Your binder and your oil base would be your alkyds. All right, we can go on. You got your carrier. Okay, the carrier would be your liquid. Okay, whether it's in water base, your carrier is water. If it's an oil base, your carrier is the oil or the petroleum. Okay, then you have additives in your paint. Okay, which your additives would be used for maybe stability. You might have additives to basically defoam the paint, anything like that. Okay, so first let's talk about sheen levels. Okay, sheen levels of your paint. Basically, I have 7 here. Okay, let's go through them. I got matte, I got eggshell, satin, pearl, semi-gloss, gloss, and high gloss. Okay, now as we move down this list, okay, the high gloss, basically the more sheen, the more costly the paint is going to be. Okay, and however, also the more sheen, the more strength the paint gonna have, and the more durable the paint gonna have. However, matte does have its advantages. Let's say on a wall, you had to paint a wall, and if that wall has imperfections on it as far as cracks or anything like that, okay, the matte will help to hide those imperfections. Okay. However, the high gloss, if the wall had those imperfections on there, the high gloss will magnify those imperfections. Okay, so I hope y'all understand that. Also, words or terms you need to know about is the interior, exterior. Okay, interior for the inside of the house, exterior for the outside of the house. And let me give you a little sample that I got at one of the home improvement centers. Okay, you see it goes from flat to high gloss, and the flat starts off, got a powdery look to it, and you can see the sheen as you get to the gloss or the semi-gloss and the high gloss. The high gloss look real glassy. Okay, basically what's happening here is the flat is absorbing light, and as you move on, let's say the high gloss is reflecting light. Okay, now as far as flat, where you'll use it at, and for the interior, you can use flat in the dining room, you can use it in the ceilings. Okay, for the exterior, you can use the flat for wall siding and masonry. However, for high gloss, you can use it on the interior, you can use it for doors, cabinets, and trims. Okay, also high gloss on the exterior, you can use for doors, trim, shutters, or fences. All right, now let's talk about primer time. Okay, because when you get ready to paint, right, okay, you want to put down a primer. Unless you're going to paint, you're going to have to paint with the primer. Okay, primer time can be anywhere from 1 hour, because it's some of the stuff I use right here, and it said you can paint in 1 hour. 1 hour. So the primer time can be anywhere from 1 hour to 24 hours. You got to look at the manufacturer's instructions or the brand instructions. Okay, so once you get your primer on there, okay, and then your primer has properly dried, right, then you want to put a coat of paint on there, right? And plus, you don't want to paint nothing before it's properly dried. Okay, because your paint can peel and you can ruin your paint job. Okay, so you want to give everything the proper amount of time. Okay, so once you let your primer dry, you move on to your paint. You put a coat of paint on there, and you need to let that coat of paint dry. Depending on whether it's water based or oil based, that's going to depend on the time you let it dry. Let's talk about touch. Let's talk about touch dry. Okay, now for water based paint, after 1 to 2 hours, it's touch dry. It's dry to the touch. And for oil based paint, for 6 to 8 hours. Okay, after 6 or 8 hours, it'll be dry to the touch. Okay, however, it's not ready to recoat. Your recoat time is different. Okay, so for water base, you can recoat it at about approximately 4 hours. Okay, approximately 4 hours. So you got a touch dry time of water base at 1 to 2 hours, but you can recoat it at about 4 hours. For oil base, you got a touch dry time at about 6 to 8 hours, and you can recoat it from 20 to 24 hours. It's gonna take 20 to 24 hours to recoat oil-based paints. Okay. Now, I want to talk also about cure time. Cure time is different from the dry time. Cure time, you can consider that as the paint being 100% dry. Okay, it's basically hardened to its full capacity. Okay, okay, that's when it can take dings and scuffs and movement of the furniture. Let's say if you had to paint, let's say if you painted a porch, okay, porch floor, okay, your porch furniture and stuff. After about, let's say for the water-based paint, the cure time is between 21 to 30 days for cure time. Okay, for the oil-based paint, it's about 3 to 7 days of cure time. And like I said, curing basically meaning it's 100% dry to its full capacity. Okay, it can take its wear and tear. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the enamel. Okay, enamel is basically where it was used only for oil-based paints, but now it's used for water-based and oil-based paint that basically has a sheen to it. Now, we look back at our sample right here. You see the flat doesn't have enamel on it. The matte doesn't have enamel on it. But as you get the eggshell, that's your soft enamel right there, or your soft sheen. Eggshell, satin got a satin enamel, and keep on continue. Okay, so enamel means anything that has a sheen in it. Okay, let's talk about also the latex. Okay, in water-based paint, when you hear latex, when you hear pure acrylic, you're talking about water-based. Okay, now years ago, latex used to be talking about a natural plant extract, but these days the latex is synthetic resins. Okay, and you'll use polyvinyl acetate or acrylic resin, or a combination of both of them in water-based paints, okay, as your binder. Okay, for oil-based, okay, when you hear alkyds, okay, you're talking about oil-based. Okay, and then alkyds is dissolved into petroleum solvent. Now, for water-based paints, when you get ready to wash out your tools, your paint brushes, your rollers, your gun, you can use water, soap and water, and sometimes just water. However, for oil-based paints, you're going to use a solvent, okay, whether it's mineral spirits, turpentine, paint thinner. Okay, also, when painting with oil-based paints have high VOCs, which are volatile organic compounds. Okay, so if you're gonna paint a room with oil-based paint, you're gonna need ventilation. Okay, you're gonna need fans, you're gonna need the window open. I wouldn't advise nobody to be in there sleeping for a few days. Okay, allow the VOCs to clear out. Okay, yeah. So water-based paint, okay, gonna last less than it's less durable. Water-based paints are less durable than oil-based paints. Okay, and plus oil-based paints gonna give you a greater sheen. All right. However, like I said before, water-based paints dry quicker, but water-based paints will last typically somewhere between 5 to 10 years, and oil-based paints will last somewhere between 10 to 15 years. Okay, now, okay, I want to mention this. Okay, dealing with this primer. Okay, make sure you get a good primer, and make sure you get quality paint when you're doing your paint jobs. All right. Now, with this, I want to recommend, if you're like, I had jobs several times when my customer had a leak in the roof. Okay, once they got the roof fixed, okay, then you had a stain on the ceiling sheetrock. Okay, you can't just paint that. Okay, you need something like this primer or stain blocker to put on the ceiling first. Okay, you'll put this Kills on the ceiling first as your stain blocker, and then you'll paint. And you're doing that for the stain don't bleed through the paint. Okay, you gotta remember that. All right, so I hope I gave y'all enough information, okay, to get y'all started on y'all job. If you like the information, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, become my apprentice, Temple Builders.